Welcome to another episode of my law class at Abdullahi Academy. My name is Abdullahi Bayero Abdurrauf. On the episode of my law class today, I shall be discussing the positive school of law. In the previous lessons, I've been able to explain the definition of law. I've also been able to explain the features of law. Under the theories of law, I've been able to explain what is known as the natural school of law. And today, by the special grace of God, we shall be explaining what is known as the positive school of law. If this is your first time on this channel, I will urge you to go and watch the previous lesson before you can continue watching this one, because they can't do without one another. However, if this is your first time on this channel also, please do not forget to follow us on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel with our username, which is Abdullahi Academy. And do not also forget to press the notification bell so that you'll be personally informed whenever I release any content. In the previous lessons, as I said earlier, I've explained what is known as the natural school of law. The natural school of law, which believes that law emerges from morality. It is an instinct in human mind which tells them what is right and what is wrong. And we have been able to discuss the weaknesses of the natural school of law. Now, what is the positive school of law? The positive school of law came as the school of jurisprudence that opposes the postulations of the natural law schools. They say that the natural law school was based on conjectures and speculations, and the law should not be based on conjectures and speculations. And by this, they were able to postulate what is known as the positive school of law. It is the opinion of the protagonist of the positive school of law that the law should be empirical in nature, and the law should not be left at large. The law should not be determined on the basis of morality. They prefer the law as it is. When we're talking about the law as it is, we're talking about using the law that has been made by the bodies that have the authority to make such a law. And the law should not be devoid with our own speculations or conjectures at any moment in time. When we're talking about the law as it ought to be, we'll be thinking about the law with our brains. Should the law be this? Should we be doing this? Should we not be doing this? The positive school of law says no, the law should not be left at large. The law should have been a defined provisions by which we will always refer whenever there is anything that concerns our affairs that we want to use the law for. That is the postulation of the school of law that we know as the positive school of law. One of the protagonists of this school is John Austin. John Austin was able to propound what is known as the command theory of law. The command theory of law was propounded by John Austin. And what is the command theory of law in relation to the school of law that's known as the positive school of law? The command theory of law, as it has been opined by John Austin in his book known as the Province of Jurisprudence, opines that the law is a command of the political sovereign to the political inferior, which is backed by sanction upon disobedience. This is how John Austin was able to propound what is known as the command theory of law. He says that the law is a command that is given by the political sovereign to the political inferior, disobedience of which attracts sanctions. From this definition that was given by John Austin in his book, we are able to point out three things by which we can say that the positive school of law is all about. The first one is the sovereign. The sovereign is the one that makes the law, is the commander, is the uncommanded commander who makes the law whenever, however, whichever, to whomever, at any moment in time. This is the first of the elements that we can see under the positive school of law. The second thing is the command. These are the rules that come from the sovereign. The sovereign who has the right, who has the opportunity, who has the wherewithal to make a rule to whomever, whenever, however. And that command that is coming out from the sovereign to the person, which must be obeyed. And the third thing is sanction. Sanction means the penalty that will be meted out on a person who tries or who dares to disobey the command that was made by the political sovereign. It means that for us to regard anything as law, we must have something called the sovereign. And this sovereign is the one that makes the law. We must also have the command that is being made by the sovereign. And at the end of the day, there must be sanction upon disobedience of the command that was made by the sovereign. This is how the positive school of law postulates their own definition and their own perspective of law. If we are to apply these three key elements that have been propounded by John Austin in his book known as The Province of Jurisprudence in the Nigerian legal system context, we're talking about the sovereign in Nigeria, we're talking about the government. We're talking about the government who has the power to make the law. And in Nigeria, government is not just like that. We have the three organs of government in Nigeria. We have the three arms of government in Nigeria. We have the executive, we have the legislatures, and we also have the judiciary. The executive is just there to execute, to implement the law. The legislature is there to make the law for the good governance of the people in the society. And the third thing is that of judiciary that interprets what the law has said. Now, according to how it's been on in Nigeria, if the executive makes the law in Nigeria, it has become a command, the command on which every citizen of Nigeria must obey. Under Section 3 of the 1999 Constitution, it says that everybody has the right to life and nobody has the right to intentionally deprive another person of his own right to life. That is under Section 33 of the 1999 Constitution. If anybody therefore goes against this law under Section 319 of the Criminal Code Act and Section 221 of the Penal Code Act, it was later provided that whoever goes against the law and killed another person unlawfully, the person will be sentenced to death. That is a sovereign that makes the law. You shall not kill. You cannot kill another person intentionally, unlawfully. That is the command. The command was made by what? By the sovereign, the Nigerian government. The Nigerian government makes the law that you cannot kill another person unlawfully. And this law can be found under the Section 33 of the 1999 Constitution, under the Section 221 of the Penal Code Act, and Section 319 of the Criminal Code Act. This is there. And now, if a person now dare to kill another person unlawfully, there is sanction. And the sanction is what? Death. There are plethora of cases in Nigeria where people are being sentenced to death. The law that has been made by the sovereign must be followed unconditionally by the people that are in that community at that moment in time. And in Nigeria, like I said earlier, if anybody therefore goes against the law of the land, the person is either punished with death, imprisonment, or fine, or even forfeiture of assets. The positive school of law is not left at large. It has its own weakness. What is the weakness of the positive school of law? The weakness of the positive school of law is that not all laws are made in form of command. There are some laws that are made even by the sovereign to the inferiors, but these laws are not command at all. And even if you don't use this law, there is no sanction that will be meted out upon you if you don't use this law. But the positive school of law don't see this coming. They don't know this. This is their weakness. They say that all the law must form a kind of command, and anybody that dares to go against the provision of that command will be punished. There are laws in Nigeria that are not command. Let's take the Marriage Act for instance. The Marriage Act is the law in Nigeria that administers the administration of marriage in Nigeria. This law is made by the legislatures, but it is not a form of command. Nobody is commanded to marry. Nobody is commanded to come and contract his marriage under the Marriage Act. No, it is there. I may say that I want to get married, but I don't want to get married under the Act. I want to get married under my own customary law, or I want to get married under my own religious law. Not every law is a command, but the positive law school says that all law must be command. But even though this law is not a command, it is still a law. It is still made by the political sovereign. It is being made to be abided by the citizens of Nigeria. This is the weakness of the positive school of law. And this is the end of this class. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel and also press the notification button so that you can be personally notified whenever we release any other content that will be beneficial to you. And also make sure that you like our page on Facebook with our username, which is Abdullahi Legal Academy. You can also join us on WhatsApp with the phone number that is showing now on your screen. Till another time that you and I shall be meeting, Abdullahi Adebayo Abdurauf is my name. Do have a wonderful legal day ahead.